Okay, welcome in. In this video, we'll be talking about for loops, one of the most important, most basic sort of to start, but definitely a lot of hidden complexities of the loops in R. So you can see I have RStudio open here. I'm in my script editor on the top left. I have a bunch of tabs open, but I'm currently in Untitled 4. The console here on the right, again, you can think of this as a calculator. If I do 4 plus 4, I'll get 8. In the environment on the bottom left, I have currently nothing saved, and then kind of my plots pane on the bottom right. So we're going to start by simply just writing out the syntax for a for loop. So it starts with the word for, and you can see when I write FO, the color is in white. And then when I write for, the color changes to orange. That's because R knows what's going on. For is a special word in the R syntax, so it changes the color accordingly. Then I do parentheses. When I type the left parenthesis, R automatically pops up a nice right parenthesis for me, which is nice. I do for I in. So again, notice how when I type in, it becomes orange because that's a special word in R. I do for I in 1, 10. And also notice that numbers are a different color. They're purple. Curly brackets. So again, I just typed the left curly bracket, autofill the right curly bracket, enter, and we're going to use this function print, which just prints a value to the console. And we're going to print I. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this and hit Control Enter on my keyboard to run it. And you can see in the console, this ran. So this kind of tells us at the most basic what a for loop is doing. It's going through each time, kind of over some index, and it's printing out what it sees. And specifically, the important parts in the important parts of this are in the parentheses of the for loop. This I is basically our index variable. It tells us what's going to be changing each time through the loop. I could have put K, J, elephant, anything in there, and it would still work. This 1 through 10, and here this colon, if I just run 1 through 10, this gives me a vector from 1 to 10. This basically tells us what we're iterating over. So this I in 1 to 10 tells us we're going to iterate I from 1 to 10 in this for loop. And so the first time through the loop, we print out I, which is 1 the first time through. The second time through the loop, we print out I, which is 2, and it kind of goes from there. You see these square bracket ones, that just means we're printing out a vector of size 1, because each time I is a vector of size 1. And just to prove it to you, let's say I actually say for elephant in 1 through 10, I can print out, so in this case, the variable we're iterating is elephant from 1 to 10. We want to print elephant each time, and we are going to get the same result as before. So this is pretty neat. There's a couple, and actually one more thing. If we don't just want to do from 1 to 10, if we want to do a different subset of numbers, I can change this with C. The C stands for concatenate, which means squish things together. I can do C, -4, 5, and 8. So in this case, instead of just going from 1 to 10, we have these 3 numbers, this vector of 3 numbers, which are just ran in our console, and elephant will iterate over these 3 numbers. So here for elephant in those, and it's going to print out those 3 numbers for me. We can do a couple of interesting things with for loops. So let's say I start with K as numeric with length 0. So if I run that and I go to my console, basically I'm saying that K has, it's a class, it's a number, but it has length 0. It's just kind of a placeholder for now. And we can append numbers to it. We can concatenate numbers and add on to it. And I want to do my for I in 1 to 100. Okay, so, or we'll do 1 in 20. So again, we're iterating I over the vector 1 to 20, the integers 1 to 20. And let's say in each iteration of the for loop, we are going to do K is equal to concatenation of K and I. So we're starting K out as basically this placeholder. It has nothing, it has no length. If I did the length of K, I would get 0, but I can append numbers to it. And in this case, I is a number because we're iterating over the integers 1 to 20. So if I run this code, it ran, it didn't print anything out because we didn't ask it to, but we can see, and you can kind of think of at home, what is K going to look like? So I'm going to type K. If I hit enter, what's K going to look like? Pause the video, and then sort of come back to it. So hopefully you realized K was just going to be the original vector, because the first time through K is nothing. It's a numeric with length 0. And we concatenate K and I, which is in the first time through 1. The second time through, we concatenate K is 1 because we've already saved it as 1. And then we concatenate 2 because I is 2. So, and then the third time through, we can add on 3, and we kind of tack it on going forward. So that's pretty cool. We can also add if statements into the for loop. So let's say if I is less than or equal to 10, and then we can put our kind of expression in this loop. So now each time we go through the loop, we're going to see if I is less than or equal to 10. If so, it will run the code. I'm going to run all this code again, being sure to redefine k as a numeric blank 0. And now if I type k, what am I going to get? Take a second to pause the video and guess for yourself. I'm going to get 1 to 10 because it's the same mechanism as before, but this piece of code only runs if I is less than or equal to 10. It doesn't run if I is greater than 10. And you're probably thinking, well, this is useless because it's kind of wasting time. The loop is going to run, 10 more times after, when I is 11, I is 12, and it's just going to check this condition each time. That's a little bit excessive, right? That's definitely not super efficient. So one way we can speed this up is we can say if I is greater than 10, we want to break the loop. And notice when we type break, it also turns orange. That's a special word in R as well. So we can actually take out this if statement, and because the break statement will help us, we're going to concatenate k and I, and if I is greater than 10, we are going to break. So let's run this. It ran, it didn't spit anything out, but if we type out k, we get what we got before. And if we type out I, we are going to get 11. So notice one interesting thing here, and this is the kind of this is why off by one errors are important in sort of programming. I is 11, which makes sense because when we iterated I to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 all the way to 10, and then when I was equal to 11, we went through the loop, we ran this piece of code, and then we ran this piece of code. We ask the if statement, if I is greater than 10, it is, therefore we break the loop and we get out of the loop. And that's why I is 11 and not 20. It didn't get all the way through the iteration. However, we put the concatenation of k before that if statement. So 11 was concatenated onto k, and then the loop was broken. So if we want to do this properly, we would do the if statement before any concatenation. And if we run this, we will get the k we want. We won't concatenate that 11 to it. And finally, one really cool thing, let's say we don't like the number 5. We don't want the number 5 to be in there. We could set up an if statement that says if I is not equal to 5, we do this concatenation, or we could set up this nice statement if I is equal to 5. We use a double equal sign for these if statements. We are going to go to the next loop. And again, notice that next changes color, it becomes orange. Break will break out of the loop completely. Next, we'll just skip it. It won't run any of the remaining code in the loop. It'll just skip to the next value in the array or the vector we're iterating over. So if I run this, I am going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, no 5, because our code got down to here. It checked this condition. I was not greater than 10, so it didn't break. It checked this condition. I was equal to 5. So it went to the next loop, and then I was equal to 6, and it ran through for there. So that's all for our intro to for loops. Be sure to check back for more videos on more advanced for loops and other R coding stuff in general. We'll see you next time.